A lot of people talked about the holidays. I did not go visit my family for Christmas or for New Year's. I visited them for Thanksgiving, and that was enough. I don't like going to visit. I go visit twice a year. That's my rule, twice a year, because, you have to know one day my parents are going to die, and I am going to inherit that hot tub. And I'm not trying to feel bad about it. I am married, but I don't have kids, and that's like something I have to hear about every time I go back home. My parents really struggle with it. Like, every time I go back home, they're just like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Family like ours, parents like us, how could you not want to have kids? And it's like, I do have a good family, good parents, but a great example of my parents, when I was growing up, one time at Thanksgiving from our turkey, my dad pulled the wishbone out. He gave it to my mom and I, and then my mom and I, you guys know the rules, you would break it in half, whoever got the bigger half got a wish. And so my mom and I break it in half, she gets the bigger half. I'm like 10 years old, I'm stoked. I'm like, what are we wishing for? My mom holds up her side of the wishbone and goes, all right, I made my wish, and sets it down. And then in the other room, my dad pretended to die. And held it for like a long time. And I just think that was the day. That was the day I was like, Comstocks, end here. Not doing this again. My parents are fine. We do hang out whenever I go back. We do all kinds of stuff together. This last time when I was there over Thanksgiving, my dad and I, we watched Lord of the Rings together all the way through. It was my first time ever seeing it. Lord of the Rings fans in here? Couple, nice. Yeah, my dad loves it, and I'd never seen it all the way through. And when I was 8 years old, that's when the first one came out. My dad tried to take me to the movie theater, and I just didn't get it. It was too long. I didn't like it. And in hindsight, my dad sat in the front row, which is an insane thing to do. And when I brought that up to him, I'm like, do you remember sitting in the front row? Without hesitation, he goes, I love the front row. I was like, okay, I didn't know you were a fucking psychopath. Crazy. But then we're hanging out, and he's like, we see it on HBO, and he's like, everything you're into, everything we like to watch, I think you would actually love Lord of the Rings. And so we sat down and watched it. Me and my dad, all 3 movies, one day. Okay, yeah, we marathoned it one day. And now that I've seen it start to finish, beginning to end, I just have to say, Lord of the Rings is the gayest movie I have ever seen. Is this what it's been the whole time? This is what everybody loves? I mean, it made me look at my dad differently. Okay, my dad is a conservative in Nebraska, and I was like, you like this, huh? Okay, good for you. Good for you. I just like unexpected. I'll say that. Unexpected, okay? If you've never seen Lord of the Rings, the entire thing, all 3 movies, is about these 2 best friends who are on a long journey together, all to destroy a little tiny hobbit-sized cock ring. And they gotta throw that ring into a volcano so that nobody can ever get hard again. And I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but that's pretty much the gist that I got from it. And we're in the first movie, and it's like an hour in, and I'm just sitting there like watching these 2 hobbits talking 3 inches away from each other's face, like, do they blow each other? And my dad is like, will you stop asking me that? Not until the end of the 3rd movie. What I think the craziest part about Lord of the Rings is that throughout the entire trilogy, all 3 movies, they're on the journey, and the chubbier hobbit, and I'm not shaming him, okay? I'm just factually, okay? The chubbier hobbit, the entire time, is carrying an assortment of cast iron pots and pans strapped to his fucking back. What? They haven't even eaten in weeks. What's going on here? You're telling me this guy's carrying these pots and pans up mountains? Okay. I got a cast iron pan at home. I can't even pick up with one arm. And old Samwise there got a fucking Dutch oven with a lid strapped to his back. How fucking stoned was the costume guy being like, we need this? We need it. At one point, the other hobbit tries to leave him. He's like, I got to do this on my own. Gets into a boat, paddles away, okay, goes down a river. This chubby hobbit, an assortment of cast iron pots and pans strapped to his back, gets in the water, swims to the boat, gets on the boat and goes, "You're not leaving without me, pal," doesn't lose a fucking pan! It's just not believable. I'm like, what's going on here? I was so mad about these pots and pans. I was so mad. I was like, I'm saying all this during the movie. And my dad is just sitting there like, what's gay about it? And then we both turn back to the screen and it's just Orlando Bloom dressed as an elf. I'm like, pretty much that. It's pretty much. Anyway, 8 out of 10. I'm going to watch it every Pride Month. New tradition. New tradition. We watched a few things over Thanksgiving. We actually, my whole family watched a documentary together. Has anyone seen the documentary on Netflix called Our Father? One person, this is it? I literally did this the other day. I asked if anyone seen it, everyone says no, and then I describe it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I have seen that." Like, we're all just in such a hole of Netflix that we're like, I have no idea what it was called. I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, and then that one started, and I just kept watching. It's just the world we live in. We're like, the next meme is gonna be better. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, it is a documentary on Netflix. It's so good. It is 2 hours long. It is about a fertility doctor who artificially inseminated a bunch of women with his own sperm. Technically correct. I'm looking for cum, but I would say what this guy did was cum, and he put a bunch of his own into these women. Obviously, they knew they were being inseminated. They did not know he was going to be the father. Cut to 30 years later, through 23andMe, one daughter finds out who he is, what he did, that it's her biological dad, and that she has over 90 siblings in the same city. Yeah, in a small Indiana town, over 90 siblings. And it is an insane documentary, definitely. And this girl brought everything to the forefront, called him out, like got him in trouble. And obviously what he did is disgusting and is a crime. But about 3/4 of the way through the documentary, in this daughter's interview, she looks at the camera and then goes, "And also during this time, somebody took all the lug nuts off of my tires." Okay. Me and my parents were like, I don't think it's related. What a crazy thing to put in there. And then after she says that, the very next cut is to a photo of lug nuts on the ground. I'm like, where did you get this B-roll? It's just like, are you accusing the doctor of doing the lug nuts? Because I think we can all agree taking the lug nuts off your tires, not sperm doctor crime. Yeah. It's not an MD out there. That guy, he doesn't have letters after his name, okay? Taking the lug nuts off of your tires, that's crackhead boyfriend crime. That's somebody you brought home and you got into a fight with. And now they're in your driveway like this fucking bitch. I feel like if you want us to believe sperm doctor did the lug nuts in the interview, you at least got to be like, and also during this time, somebody took all the lug nuts off of my tires and covered them in cum. And I'd be like, damn, that's sperm doctor crime if I've ever seen it. So it's an incredible documentary, and honestly, crazy to watch with my dad, because my dad also did 23andMe, and we actually found out that from donating sperm in the 80s, my dad has 9 other kids. Relatable. Okay. Yeah, he found out that 23andMe, if you want to find out if you're related to somebody, you just check a box. And so he checked that box, and then he found out he has 9 other kids, and then he didn't tell anybody. Yeah. And that's a Comstock trait. We can keep a secret, especially our own. And so I actually found out through a complete stranger on Facebook who just sent me a message one day. And this is a complete stranger who looked exactly like my dad. It looked like in the 80s, my dad came into a cup. And then he handed that cup to the doctor. And then the doctor set that cup on the ground. And then watered it. And then up stood a female version of my dad. And that's who sent me a message, okay? And I'm in my 30s. I'm old enough to know everyone on the internet trying to scam you. So I get a message from somebody, and I see this photo, and the message just says, "Hi, is Joe your dad? Because I think I'm your sister." And so now I'm looking at this message like, oh, you think I'm a fucking mark? You think I'm stupid? Okay. So I get that message, and then I message her back, and I just say, okay, prove it. And then she said, "Why don't you ask your dad?" Okay, which I thought was bold. And so I said, because I've pretty much watched Law and Order every day of my fucking life, I messaged her back and I said, "I believe the burden of proof is on you." Yeah. And I typed that out to another person. And then she blocked me. And so I'm in my apartment like, I knew that was a scam, dude. Can't get me, can't bullshit a bullshitter. I was stoked. I was as excited as an incel on Reddit, dude. I was like, got that bitch. And then I didn't think about it for a little while. And then I talked to my dad on the phone, and my dad brings it up. And I'm like, did I tell you about that? I was like, did Jack tell you about that? How did you know that? And he goes, oh, well, he comes clean, tells me about her, and then goes, I actually already talked to her. She told me what happened. And I go, she fucking blocked me. And he goes, yeah, well, she just thought that she had to block you because she thought you had bad vibes. Yo, what? Talk shit about me to our father, to my dad? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, I don't think I need to tell you guys, you cannot offend a woman in Colorado more than telling her she has bad vibes. I was like, what the fuck did she say about me? I'm in my apartment looking around like, okay, I don't know if you can tell how many fucking crystals I own. But I got nothing but good vibes in here. I was so mad. I was like, I have to say something. She's not just going to get away with this. I called my dad back 3 separate times to make sure I knew exactly what she said. And I was like, I'm going to say something. And I go back on Facebook to find her. But obviously, she had already blocked me. That's what we're fucking fighting about. And so I had to find her on Instagram. Yeah, it was easy. I typed in her name. And I sent her a message this time, and I just said, hey, sis. Remember me? And then I blocked her. So I'm super unsure who won that argument, but family is complicated. All right, thanks a lot, you guys. My name is Georgia Comstock.